I can help with that. Hi, everybody!
I wanted to
you.
shout back, hi, Dr. Nick, there for a minute, but I guess we'll leap straight to the first slide. Like, we're running with slides today, just to be slightly different. Like, from normal, I've actually prepared something for once. Whee! So, moving to the first one first. So for anyone who doesn't know, how many people are aware of what Anime Limited or All the Anime is already? That is the Anime Limited enthusiasm I've come to know and love there.
I'll tell you what, let's put this a different way. How many of you have no idea who the heck we are?
Excellent.
There you
That is
go.
what I like to see. So we, basically what we do is release anime, for starters. So we've worked on a bunch of series over the years so far since we started in 2013, ranging from Cowboy Bebop to Kill la Kill to Tokyo Ghoul. And we work with films as well. So we kind of have a kind of split passion here as well. So we believe there's a lot of stuff that's really cool out there that deserves a release, both in terms of packaging and content. So we work with a lot of varying content. You've seen on the TV series there, that's quite high-profile stuff. We also work with stuff lower profile as well, which we think is worth watching, like Ping Pong, for example, by Masayuki Yuasa. We're a huge fan of Yuasa-san's work as a whole. He's one of these directors who you kind of need to experience to understand, but he never does anything that's really traditionally normal.
He was Emmy nominated for an episode of Adventure Time, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's worked on Adventure Time as well, which was really fascinating. But so that carries over into film as well for us. We work with things like Letter to Momo, like a film about a girl going through a very difficult time in her life, having moved back to the countryside, well, not countryside, to the seaside, basically, and adapting to life in outside of Tokyo. Miss Hokusai, a film about Hokusai, the painter behind the Great Wave, and his relationship with his daughter, and all the way along to a kind of a sci-fi fantasy tale about a world of inverted gravity, basically, called Patma Inverted. Kind of everything in between, that's quite a broad spectrum of film. And we do everything from simulcast, so showing films as they come out or TV series rather, as they come out in Japan, releasing things digitally on platforms. How many of you guys use Netflix, for example? I mean, you'll have seen some of our content on there, for example, and there's, I have to say there's going to be more content over the next half year as well popping up. You'll have seen titles like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill pop up again, but there's new titles as well coming up. When they go up, we will be sure to be shouting them out.
Indeed.
We do events, stuff not just stuff for coming to MCM Comic Con, but we do our own thing as well. So we host screenings if anyone came to October time, there was screenings at the Crystal screening space, just
down the road.
Basically where we screened Love Live and such, for Love Live, Gundam The Origin Part 2. There's some excitement there for Love Live. I'm amazed I didn't see Glow Stick. We actually screened it today. We'll talk about it in a minute. A film festival as well. There we are. And the minute the film started in a cinema screen, someone had glow sticks out ready to go, and we felt really bad when the ushers had to say, "Look, no, you're gonna have to put those away, son. Sorry about it." Makes a change from the normal in the cinema, though, when you're told that.
You've never seen a steward run so fast to have a glow stick turned off.
And with films, obviously, we do basically the same thing again, including home video, but instead of simulcast, we try to do theatrical. And we're moving closer and closer to trying kind of simultaneous theatrical with Japan. We work on some projects in the next year where you'll see that gap between Japanese theatrical and UK theatrical close. Can't talk about all of those yet, but you will see in the next year on that, and we'll talk more about that probably in October time. We've also actually announced a bunch of stuff. If you've not been by the Anime Limited stand today, we've actually announced a bunch of titles already this weekend. Stuff like Persona 3, the movies. From FX.
There you go.
Hoping to have at least the first film out in time for October, MCM as well. We've also announced High School Fleet. Mm-hmm. Another Aniplex title. You might notice a pattern there today.
Currently simulcasting as well.
Simulcasting on both Animax, Crunchyroll, and I think Funimation now UK as well. I can remember some basic details. Hooray, I've not gone completely. And, of course, as well, Black Butler, Season 3 so far.
Good, one fan, there's hope yet. Good.
Excellent. I told you my taste weren't too bad yet.
And we also announced the series Dimension W. For any of you who may have checked it out, there we go. It's a good show. It's good fun.
So yeah, that's like kind of an overview of what we do by day to an extent. So by what do we do outside of work? So a long time ago, before I started Anime Limited, we started a film festival in Scotland called, creatively called Scotland Loves Anime. And it's grown from being effectively a 2-day event in both Edinburgh and Glasgow to being a event which runs over 2 weeks and screens about, last year we screened 18 films. This year I think we're looking to run about the same number, and a lot of them will never be screened again in the UK outside it, so a very limited exposure. And the idea was we want to encourage you all to come up to us, because coming down to London is quite a challenge for us at times. I spent 9 hours and a half in a van with a wing mirror bending backwards for part of the way. It felt a bit like Mad Max, actually, which was quite creative. But it's a nice change, and it's a chance to see films that you would not normally get to see. And some you would get to see as well. So last year we screened a bunch of Miss Hokusai, for example, which we did go on screen across the UK with Japan Foundation. But we also screened the best of Japan Animator Expo as well, which was a series of shorts from Studio Kara, who, the tagline I always argued for this should have been from the studio who should be bringing you Evangelion 4.0. But it was a fascinating series of works. They gave a lot of really talented new directors and talent, and old directors and talent, the chance to go back and make the equivalent of a student film again. No worries about production budgets, no worries about what the creative restrictions were. And some of them were really, really mental. I mean, if you want to see mental ones, I would strongly advise you check out Me, Me, Me or Girl, for example. They are not safe for work, but they are very, very surreal. They would never have been made normally, for example. So we brought a lot of guests over the years as well, which is something very rarely done except out of MCM. So we bring 2 sets of guests every year, ranging from classic people like Ryosuke Takahashi, who made Botoms, and basically started at Mushi Pro, so Tezuka's studio long ago. So he's been around since the days before places like Sunrise even existed. And he knows where all the bodies are buried effectively in the industry at times, and it was fascinating learning with an audience. It's something you would not normally get, a Q&A with someone who's been around the block that long. And we brought people who've never been, who rarely even appear in Japan, like Naoko Yamada, the director of K-On! The movie, for example, K-On! The TV series as well, who's currently directing a new film based on the manga A Silent Voice. If you've not read the manga yet, I would really recommend you check it out. It's out via Turnaround Books here, and being distributed for Kodansha. They're in the North Hall, I believe, somewhere near the back. It's South Hall, near the back, my bad. But well worth checking out. Small stand, but well worth looking at the manga. So we bring a lot of guests as well through that, and now MCM are also bringing a lot of guests, which is really cool too. I strongly recommend you take advantage of them while they are here, because it's a really rare chance to meet talent. So this weekend in London, there's obviously the producer of Gundam The Origin Part 3, and one of the mecha designers as well, both of whom, this is their first and potentially, the last in a long time appearance in the UK. And they've got a really fascinating panel planned tomorrow after there's a Gundam screening at 11 o'clock.
Correct.
And then straight after that at 12 o'clock, they're doing a panel up here. It's a channel, I've had a sneak peek at their presentation as well. It's a really chunky talk about how Gundam is designed and how it's gone from basically how it was designed in the original series to how it's been designed in The Origin. There's a little bit about Gunpla as well, if you're interested. But it's fascinating. It's a rare opportunity to engage, and we brought MCM have brought endless people of interest as well. People like Shigeto Koyama, who designed the characters and worked closely with the team at Trigger for Kill la Kill, for example, and did some amazing signings last year. And I'm sure there's plenty more to come. This year's guests for Scotland Loves Anime are almost set in stone now, and we're looking forward to announcing those outside of Anime Limited down the line. So this is something we do completely outside of work. It's not related. but it is a whole load of fun, and we'd love it if people checked it out as well. And it's running this year from the 14th to the 23rd of October, split across Edinburgh and Glasgow. There'll be a link later on with the web details, so don't worry. But let's talk about what else we do as well. So we do several different types of products. So we started with just collector's editions, so that's kind of a rigid case for booklet, a digipack, and some discs. And we've moved on from that. In 2014, we kind of evolved down to doing larger form product because we really wanted to give you as much as we could from what was available in Japan and not normally released, especially in the USA. So bringing you a large form art book for that, and it was an experiment. It had its problems, and it wasn't honestly, it was a learning experience for us as much, but we're still proud of what came out of it in the end. And obviously, like everyone else was too, it sold very well, like regardless. And then we went straight into doing that with a film, Pattern Inverted, where we actually translated an entire book that's never been released in the West again. Translation rights have never been used again. And that was your one chance to get that book in English, which was a very chunky fan works book. It described, it had interviews, it had character designs, even had prototype character designs in it. And we included the soundtrack and such as well. So we've kind of, over time, we've evolved the model. And like in 2015, for example, which is the next slide, I believe, we've evolved that model again. So we did another film, Giovanni's Island, where we kind of followed the traditional large-size digipack with the film on DVD and Blu-ray with some really cool bonus features, actually. A making of, which was basically as long as the film, for example, as well, and a really, really detailed booklet.
If we can flick to the next slide, that'd be lovely. Cheers. So yeah, Giovanni's Island, as Andrew was mentioning at the top there.
And then we did Full Metal Panic towards the end of the year, which was a bit of an experiment because we'd realized that oversized digipacks made it quite difficult to put the book someplace and with the rest of the packaging and maybe putting the home video elsewhere, like with the rest of your DVDs and Blu-rays. So we experimented with doing regular Blu-ray sized cases inside the collector's edition. That worked. Like, it was kind of a mixed bag to an extent for us. I mean, we learned a lot from it. And it worked with what we had. A lot of times when you're building an Ultimate Edition, you would think an older product would be easier to get the materials and approval, but sometimes you actually get a product which is just over the cusp of being old enough to receive the assets in a format that is actually very difficult to use. So what we received for that project was actually just an assortment of file names with no file type associated, for example, which meant we had to go through, like for anyone who's not in the know on that means we had to go through it and actually guess what every file was. Like, what kind of picture it was? And there's quite a few picture formats, as we've discovered now, for images, for example, and varying different qualities. So that took at least a week of my life to go through. So as even president of the company, I get my hands dirty with product. It's a labor of love for all of us, and like all of us work. Yeah, so Jeremy, for example, works on everything that is of a social nature for marketing beyond just social media. Works with offers for the shop. He works with building like new events and ideas for us. But he also does the QC, for example, on discs, for example, as well, because it's important, along with Kerry, our head of marketing, because it's important that marketing understands what they're working on, because they're passionate, but their time is very focused on anime limited work. So it's a way to better strengthen things as well. And that's why over the last few years, things have gotten better and better with the discs as we handed it off to our friends, our friends there.
Yeah, I mean, to give you guys an example, how many Durarara fans do we have in here today? Cool. So we re-released all of season 1 on Blu-ray with some corrected discs because there was an issue with an earlier release, and at the same time, I QC'd the DVD version. So I watched all of season 1, which is 24 episodes, 4 times in a week and a half. Twice dub and sub for the Blu-ray and DVD. So, if you've got any questions about season 1 of Durarara, I can probably help you. Because I kind of know that show inside and out now.
And that's quite a common thing for project. It takes up time, but it's worth doing. And when you're making your own discs, which we split out. So a lot of companies will only buy in discs. We tend to do that if someone else is moving ahead of us. So Funimation, Sentai or Madman, for example, are working ahead of our schedule, then we'll work with them to make if it makes sense. But very often for a film, or TV series, we're very often at the same time or ahead of the US release nowadays for title, film especially. Like, for example, Miss Hokusai, for example, you can buy that downstairs today on standard edition. Collector's edition comes out in probably early July at this point because we're printing a very fresh new book for it. And, like, it's not available anywhere else. Like, so a lot of times other countries will use our masters, for example, instead. So Durarara, for example, the Australian master is our master. Actually, for example, for the new series. After the first season, we thought it might be a better proposition, actually. So, like, that was 2015. In 2016, actually, which is the next slide, we've released one Ultimate Edition already. And we're kind of evolving that model. So this time it was, again, a test case with using DVD, like a Blu-ray size case inside, but we evolved the art book again. So it's actually... There's sheets in that which actually resemble more like tracing paper, it'll feel like. But it's kind of almost like an animation cell, actually, to give you an idea of the kind of line arts that exist. There's some really fascinating interviews as well. We actually initially had a regular collector's edition planned, but as we looked at all the booklets, more and more the page count got larger and larger for that book, till the point where we reached about 220 pages if we did it at Blu-ray sized. And I had to ask my team at that point, like, would you honestly read basically a novel-sized book at that size of production data and images, or would you read it at a bigger size with slightly smaller page count? And the conclusion was, like, probably makes sense to do a bit larger in that case. And I think if you check it out, we've got a sample display copy downstairs. You'll be like very interested by the result. It really paid off, actually. And the sales have actually backed that up so far.
Yeah, just to ask, how many of you don't know what this series is that we have on screen right now, Terran Resonance?
Well, let's start with it's been banned in China, so that's a great starting point. If the state doesn't want you to watch it, well, maybe you should give it a shot. But it's by the same man who made Cowboy Bebop. It's a completely different, and like Samurai Champloo, it's a completely different affair. This is, if you were to liken this to another show, but it's more in the vein of the serious episodes of Bebop, for example. Though it's a story. It's a thriller, basically. I can't say too much without giving it away, but it's very interesting. And if you're looking to just dip your toes in first, it's on Netflix as well just now. And you can give it a wee try there as well first.
Indeed, you can.
But we gave it an evolution, like the model, a wee change, and we've been thinking about things again as we go. And it's time to change how we do things again, and we're really excited about it. So the next Ultimate Edition we want to talk about is actually a little bit special. And we actually have a video to show you first about it, just to work you in. It's a new one we prepared especially for this event, and it'll be going online after. It's an exclusive trailer for the show for the UK, and it's a reminder of it more than anything. I'm sure it's familiar to a bunch of you, but sit back and take a look first.
Humankind cannot gain anything without first doing something in return. To obtain something of equal value must be lost. That is Alchemy's first law of equivalent exchange. In those days, we really believed that to be the world's one and only truth.
Allow me to introduce a slight difference to our normal Ultimate Editions. So we asked ourselves, how could I make my life more miserable than normal on approvals with Japan? And I rolled the dice and we looked through all the options. Then we found a sketch initially, like a production sketch of the gate in Full Metal Alchemist. And we sent an idea for approval to Japan and thinking for sure they're going to reject this. We put the whole concept together first and took them a month and a half of thinking about this, and we almost thought we were going to miss this panel for announcing it, to be honest. And they came back with, yep, go ahead. So we are building a replica version of the gate out of resin. And so it's going to be a heavy, heavy thing. But it's going to be a proper replica of the gate, basically, which will store the original TV series, like all 51 episodes, in the gate itself. And that will be contained within like inside polystyrene and inside a special shipping box to make sure it's safe. So I'll talk you through what's inside of it. So obviously the gate itself opens outwards, like sideways, like to store it inside. So it can be either kept on your like above your shelf or something as a display piece or wherever you like. But if you go to the next slide, you'll actually see that we are like inside it are 2 parts for the release. Could we get the next slide, please? There we go. So, I mean, inside it will be 2 rigid cases with digipacks. And this is the collector's edition part. This is subject to change still, but it will be with 7 art cards in the first 3 discs in set 1. So, rigid cases using the Japanese artwork from their Blu-ray release, for example. And then with the next slide, you will see that part 2 will be inside it as well. If we could jump it along by 1 slide, that'd be great. Thank you. Sorry. So that's like kind of the reverse. So it's kind of the military on one part, the homunculi on the second one. Both are really cool. You'll see later in the pack shots there's a red streak across them. Those will be kind of spot laminated, so it'll stand out on both. So it'll look like Mustang is setting fire to the page initially. It's pretty cool. And both will come with 7 art cards actually as well. But that's not all the set's going to come with as well. So if we go 1 more slide along, please, then you'll see there's also going to be a full-sized like art book with it, 260 pages. Different to the American one, we're actually going with much more of a there's an edition in the Japanese release called the Archives, which is they did it much more like a gallery style exhibition, like kind of a really classy affair. And we're kind of modeling it on that release. So it's actually, we've gone to such painstaking levels of detail that we're going through all the characters, for example. Each of the characters will have a note telling you which episode they first appear in as well, for example. So you'll be able to, if you want to, you can skip straight to the episode with that character. There's a bunch of characters in the original series I honestly, when I was going through it, didn't even remember appearing, like the Phantom Thief, for example, earlier on in the show. I completely forgot. She's an original character for that. There's 2 brothers who impersonate the Elrics, who again get more prominence, at least, in the original series than they do in the... I think they're original, actually, as well, if I remember. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But we also went to the point of showing image boards for settings, for example, which takes up a chunky amount, showing basically every scene in the anime with settings. So every setting you can imagine, and the first episode it appears in. So if you want to compare those image boards to what was actually animated in the end and upscaled into very nice HD actually in the end in Japan, then you can actually go straight into that from the book as well, for example. Or if you want to dig in after watching the show and see what a particular setting was like, we've gone all out on that. And there's of course a traditional art book style piece at the end, but not before one really cool feature I love, which is kind of a before and after style shot for illustrations. Again, this is pending approval, so the size count of what pages take up what may change, but the idea is you'll be able to see the illustrations as they were done in original line art and how they came out finally for magazines like New Type and Animage in Japan. So it's a really kind of sneak peek into how Japan does its line art, and how things can change from the initial sketch to the final piece of artwork. So the art book itself is going to be the same size as the box itself and go in on top of the polystyrene to give you a full-sized art book that you can put with the rest of your books, for example. So it's not restricted to being inside the Ultimate Edition, for example. It's pretty much one of a kind again. A custom alchemy certificate, you might notice, is an unusual element. That's going to be customized. So when you order it on alltheanime.com or Zavvi, as you'll find in a minute, it's pretty exclusively sold through those two sites. What we will do before anyone who pre-orders, basically, will get a custom alchemy certificate from King Bradley himself, certifying your edition, but also certifying you with an alchemy name. Now, not to give you any scares, anyone, but it'll be me running that list of alchemy names through, so, that could be fun. So we're going to have to come up with 970, well, actually 1,000 alchemy names, but we'll get to that. So it'll be assigned randomly, but there will be some fun involved there. What will you end up with? What will King Bradley decide you are? That's completely up to him, actually. But it's a really cool example of customization in packaging. We could have just put a certificate stamped by King Bradley saying, great, there you go, here you go, but it'll have your name on it and your alchemy name, as well as the number and the edition range it is. So between 1 to 1,000, basically. And there's only going to be 970 units on sale. The reason being is that we know the licensor is going to want a good chunk for approval and to show off to their mates. We bumped into, I was actually at this sounds incredibly weird to say, but a party in Japan, and bumped into to Minami-san from Bones and showed him, and he was more than happy to show it off to other people at what was coming up, for example. It's something that's very cool even in Japan, because this has never been done anywhere in the world, this resin print. This is the only chance you will have to own it, in which we're very proud to say, and I can't think anyone will be crazy enough to replicate it afterwards, because it costs a ton. Which brings us to the topic at hand of how much is it, which is the next slide. Now, before anyone has this, bear in mind, the full price is the same as basically what the American collector's edition was. It transposed from dollars to pounds. It's £299 SRP. But what we're doing is that's all 51 episodes, the resin gate, the art book, and the collector's edition parts 1 and 2 inside the box, and the certificate. So what we're doing is initially from today till the 5th of July, we're doing it on alltheanime.com and Zavvi at $124.99, which will be less than the SRP of the 2 Blu-ray sets separately, on their own with art cards later, by a little bit. And then after that, until the date pre-orders are cut off, it'll be $149.99 for direct sales and via Zavvi to give you the best chance of buying it at an affordable price, basically. And then from October 2nd onwards, it'll just go to standard retail price, and any leftover units, if there are any, will be opened up to general retail. But only after, actually it says from October 2nd onwards, but only after pre-orders are fulfilled, basically. So you guys get your copy first. And any leftovers are put online, as will then a regular collector's edition for the Blu-ray parts 1 and 2, only a month or 2 months after this one comes out. So the goal is to give anyone helping make this happen, the first dibs effectively in the UK, which is a huge challenge, and it's it's a big one. But we're hoping some people will join us on the journey at least, and if not, it will be coming out not too far behind on a different price, part 1 and part 2 as well. So there will be other options out there as well. So that's kind of where we're at for the next big one, but that's not all we've got coming up in Ultimate Editions, over the next year. We have Escaflowne coming up, which some people know about, yes. And we're proud to say we are doing both the original version as it's screened on, unedited, in the UK, and we're doing the version with the director's cut as well. And we should actually have the good news of having both versions of the dub, the Funimation one and the original one, like available for people to enjoy. If you're doing an Ultimate Edition like that and there's 2 versions of a dub existing, you kind of want to have both if you can, you know? Like, even if you might only choose one or you might listen to neither, you know? It's a choice we'd rather you guys have as well. And we've got a few other special things planned for Escaflowne, which we'll be announcing over the summertime. We're just waiting on the final draft for some of that just now, but it should be a very good audio experience for people, put it like that. We've also got Eureka 7. If people thought we'd forgotten about that one, we certainly haven't. I'm a huge fan of Eureka 7, as is like a lot of the team, and I worked on it back at Bandai back in the day. So it's a nice chance to come back to it. So we're just working on what assets art-wise are available for that, 'cause we'd like to do a really nice art book for it. Because there's so much artwork that you guys will never have seen that was only ever done for Japanese release or magazines or or special promotion. The only stuff we really got in the UK was the DVDs, basically from Bees back in the day, but there's so much more out there. So what we're trying to do just now is get together all of it, which is a huge challenge, and the licensor is super keen on us just now for that one. But we're making good progress, so we're going to have more to talk about on that in the next few months as well. We also have one more to talk about, but we're announcing things every day at our stand, and if you come back to the stand on Sunday, or check online, we will also be announcing which one that is. But it's been one I've been itching to do for quite some time now. I think since a panel, and at least last October, if not, in May time, I was ranting and raving about how I'd love to have that property. So it's not Evangelion before anyone asks as well. Yeah,
we're sorry.
I thought I'd head that one off before we got started.
But if you guys keep an eye on Facebook and Twitter over the weekend, we're at All the Anime. I'm going to be doing a schedule of when you can expect announcement at our stand each day. We're basically adding them to our wall. Yes, a wall. That's how epic we are. And yeah, you'll be able to see those added at various times throughout the day. So check back Sunday morning and you'll know when they appear.
And we do have another panel, knowing that there'll be more questions as well. We're going to have another panel on Sunday as well. Sunday
morning at 11 a.m. in here.
And you'll get a chance to meet some of the team behind. You'll get to meet the person behind the Full Metal Alchemist trailer, Kat. For example, so that was put together in the UK in the Glasgow office and approved by Aniplex, for example. They'll be online after this at fullmetal.alltheanime.com, where you'll also be able to find out more about the release. I think that leaves us at the very important point, because I realize we've eaten up quite a chunk of time wittering on, of questions, which is on the next slide. Cheerful. Oh, you can go back to the one back. Yeah,
there you go.
So, my normal state. I wouldn't advocate a feline drinking, but you know.
Is that the office cat?
Yeah. Probably.
Why haven't we got? Actually, no, I was going to say we haven't got an office cat. We do. It's Cat who made the trailer.
Not this cat, though.
Exactly.
You'll be disappointed if you're expecting this particular sombrero-wearing cat.
Imagine on a Sunday morning if we came up here with a cat wearing a sombrero talking about editing that trailer. I can't think of a better way to nurse a hangover from Saturday night.
Premiere.
Just get a cat to dub it. She'd be standing backstage dubbing it live.
Don't give her ideas.
Yeah, she probably would. So shall we open this up to questions at this point? So I realise there might be someone with a question.
Right, okay, yeah, there's a few. I can see hands going up outside, so I'll bring the mic up and we'll start off at the very front here with this person in costume.
Hi, will you be bringing out a box set for Brotherhood, as you're doing for the original Fallout Metal Alchemist?
That's a painful one for me. Alas, the rights for Brotherhood are currently with Manga Entertainment, our dear friends. No.
Come
it does,
on.
if we're being honest, it does break my heart, because I would love to do something equally crazy for Brotherhood as it goes a completely different direction. Both for entertaining, actually. I grew up on the first one I saw was obviously the original series. So seeing Brotherhood afterwards, a refreshing change as well. And I really, if you want to watch both, you will enjoy both probably. They're very different beasts. But right now, alas, no. Maybe one day, who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky.
And we have a question, gentleman here on the side.
What kind of dimensions are you looking at for the Full Metal Alchemist release? How will it compare to the existing Ultimate Editions or, say, Funimation release?
In terms of size for the gate itself, as resin is both expensive and very heavy, we're aiming for, obviously it's not, well, you can guarantee it's not a scale replica for starters. I don't want to have a forklift for every single delivery. And I suspect I would have structural damage to many of your accommodation if I did.
I'm not dealing with a customer service complaint if there's
Imagine the
structural
returns,
damage.
Jeremy. Imagine the returns. People would use trebuchets to return it then.
1,000 postmen are cheering in unison.
Joe, I hadn't thought about the postie. Think about him delivering this, blimey.
If you give me 1 second, I can get you almost exactly the specs.
While you're looking it up, I'm just now imagining a postie lugging us up 9 flights of stairs somewhere to try and get it to your flat, at which point he'll arrive and just go, shove it in your face.
So, I can imagine it being an experience and a half to lift it, actually. But seriously, I don't want trebuchet-style returns for anything. That sounds like a horrible idea. Why I've even suggested that idea now and given people ideas is actually an equally terrible thought. But so you look at probably about, like this is, bear in mind this is quite approximate just now, so there's room for some give and take until the final sculpting is done, because it requires a sculpt initially, approval from Japan, and then a final mold, like a test mold to approve it. But I'd say you're in the region of about, at least the height and width I can go with just now, about 31 centimeters high and about 25, 26 meters like wide.
It's a beast.
It's big. I mean, it's not a small affair. You're certainly not going to want to put it like on a. If you've got a freestanding DVD shelf, I can guarantee you it won't fit. But it's the way it's designed is you can take out the Blu-rays parts 1 and 2, for example, and put them on your shelf with the other Anime Limited product or manga product or whatever else you have, like or MVM product that you have, and the gate can sit somewhere else, like somewhere special without it being impossible.
Just a quick thing, there's people muttering behind me. You said 26 meters.
Oh, centimeters, yes.
Oh God, you did say meters, didn't you?
I do that sometimes to slip in. See, no, of course, I was thinking millimeters initially, but like I went from.
I can hear people behind me going, 26 meters, really? God, that's amazing.
Sorry, I'm translating from millimeters here as well, so it fries my brain a little bit there. So centimeters.
Right.
To confirm, not meters.
Like,
If that ends up anywhere online, people.
Can I just say, someone just actually went, oh.
I'm not building an actual gate here. You can't. I've not branched out into new areas of construction, for example.
Full life prop replicas for anime. Right, we have a question from a gentleman on the third row.
Oh yeah, first of all, thanks for this sort of free to the UK, because I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, you didn't include the OVA for Durarara, the second arc, part 1. I'm wondering why you didn't add that, and also you plan to release the OVA to part 2 and part 3?
Alas, the OVAs are not included in any Western release, barring the Aniplex one, because they have a particular, like they have a problem they have to fight against with Japanese counter-importation and being part of the same group. It's a lot easier to make the case for them to have the OVA as well, given their pricing compared to ours. For example, so you'll note that Australia also doesn't have that. It's not just because we offered it, it's because we were moving ahead of schedule and they like what we do with offering, so they had the same restriction we did, in fact, so we followed that. So right now, the second and third parts won't have it, like the OVAs for it, which is, it pains us as much as it pains you guys. We don't want to actively miss out content, and unlike the Australian release, for example, you'll see we've included the rigid case, compilation booklet of all the season's booklets in one, the same stickers as well, and a selection of the art cards, basically, from the Japanese and the US release. So you're not, in terms of product, you're not missing out. Price is better, there's no way to beat around the bush, right? It is better than the US price. And we try and make that competitive where we can, again, by doing a special limited offer from our store as well. So if you check alltheanime.com and our Facebook, for example, you'll be able to find more out about that as well. Like when we do special offers, for example, they normally last for about a week to keep it competitive and not anger our partners in retail, for example. That's very, very important to us as well, as much as doing direct businesses as well with everyone. Both are important in their own ways. But yeah, so unfortunately that's the reason why not just now. In the future, I would love to go back, though, since there'll be 3 OVAs sitting there, and try and do something later down the line, though, maybe when things have relaxed a bit. Because, things change over time, so maybe. Fingers crossed. But do keep making your voice known on it, people, even if it's not something we are necessarily in any position to do anything about just now. It's better to know when people are frustrated when they're, than not,
We would much rather know that you guys really want something like that than not know. Because otherwise, then we don't know, and we can't see if it's possible in the future.
It makes a better case for us to go to Japan as well, and to say, please consider giving us the OVAs,
We have a question in the middle row at the back.
Thank you. I have a very strange question here.
Okay.
Bugging me, but how does the interpreter do the Japanese names?
And this is where we give the microphone to Jack.
Yes! It's nice. No, please do. It's fascinating.
Ethically, I'm not allowed to answer that question.
But if you were... give it a Japanese name.
Keiichihara.
Keiichihara. Tell me later. We go to the front then, let's jump over here.
I'm excited that you're bringing across Persona 3 film, but I'm not wondering with the pricing, are you going to be a lot cheaper than what Aniplex is charging them now?
Yeah. Well, we're working on it. It'll be in line with our normal film collector's edition. So what we tend to do for that, we tend to fix price point on collectors of about $34.99 max SRP. So the price will often be down to about, like Psycho Pass, the movie, I think just now is down to what, 25, 24. If you can access the internet and check for me, Jeremy, that'd be glorious. But like it comes down then, but you get a collector's package with the Blu-ray, DVD, and like a good booklet with it. We're seeing what's available for Persona just now. I'm recently getting back into Persona 4 The Golden on the PS Vita. I finished VLR recently, and I'm looking forward to the new Zero Time. If I'm uttering just random words to you just now, don't worry, I'm not having a fit. It's okay. It's a range of games for the PlayStation Vita, but having finished the last Zero Escape game, I figured I would try Persona 4. And going back to Persona 3 before that for the anime has been really quite refreshing, being completely different as they are, but still fascinating all in all. So right now, it's actually doesn't make sense pricing-wise, so I'm going to come back to that. There seems to be some confusion on Amazon just now about it, because the DVD is priced well above the regular retail price. So I don't actually know what's going on there.
This never happened.
But yeah, so normally, this usually does not happen. Amazon not doing something usual, who would have thought?
But as Andrew was saying, though, keeping it in line with our collector's edition pricing for movies.
And the question here on the side.
Okay, now that Eureka 7 is finally coming out, is there any chance of getting Place Promised Early Days on Voice of the Distant Star released anytime soon?
Every time I get that question, I delay it by another month. I'm not getting any younger either, though, so I guess we'll figure it out as we go along. No, the complication with that one has been, there's been endless complications. The offering is actually basically done now, so it's coming sooner rather than later. The thing we're discussing just now with Japan is whether we can include things like the soundtrack, for example, as well, to add some value for people who've been waiting a very long time. I'm trying to cross those titles off my list. I've not forgotten about Nerima Daikon Brothers either, for anyone in the audience, all three of you probably wondering where it is. There's a few stories behind those ones. But like the Shinkai collection, for example, is coming up, and I think you'll probably see it in the UK definitely before you see the new Shinkai film itself, which looks amazing, by the way. I am itching to see it. They've got the same animation director on it as who worked on the animation direction for Spirited Away. And it shows, like, the trailer, if you've not seen it yet, looks like an amazing display of how much budget they're working with and the talent they're working with. How many of you guys like Anohana as well? Like, for example, and the character designer for that and the team behind that did a film called Anthem of the Heart as well. If you watch the trailer for the new Shinkai film, Your Name, you'll see actually there's a lot of similarities because the same character designer was involved. And it looks, with that quality of animation and the Shinkai touch, looks amazing. So we definitely want to make sure it's out in time before that, so you can enjoy that as well, like whoever's releasing it. But that's kind of what we'd like to do with that. And it's definitely coming to. The authoring is done, you'll be glad to hear, so it's moving, which is nice.
And a question for the gentleman here in the middle.
So considering you guys brought SLA over, I have two questions. One, who's your favourite Love Live girl? And two, are you bringing the movie over as well, or is that in MVM's hands?
Who is your favourite Love Live girl, Jeremy?
Don't defer this to me, mate. I'm waiting for you to answer.
Oh, no. Like, you first, Jeremy.
It's to both of you, apparently.
Right, look, I'm going to be honest, and this is not even me just copping out. I don't have a favourite because the music is great, and I actually listen to the music more than I watch the show. You haven't seen my gym playlist, people. I'm a heavy metal head, but at the same time, I need a Love Live track in there. When I'm doing a hill climb on the bike, I need something to get me the energy, the passion, if you will, to get up that ridiculous hill. And that's what I do it with, and then I follow up with like a giant thrash metal track like Metallica, Four Horsemen or something, just sprint down.
Apparently Love Live has metal gone into this. Wait.
Hey, there's baby metal. Let's cross it over. I put karate on as a giant track as well. Right, I bought you enough time. Who's your favourite girl?
Oh, no. I haven't had time to hit Google yet. No, actually, for me, I don't have one, I have to say. Like, I know, actually, I was going to say that's because I like all of them. I am indeed a cop-out, but actually the movie, since it's been brought up, isn't in MVM's hands just now. It's not in ours either necessarily, but you might well see we're vending some Love Live music on our stand just now. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see. I mean, how many of you guys are Love Live fans for starters? Let's have a show of hands. It's a pretty healthy number. And of you guys, is there anyone not looking forward to the new series of Sunshine?
Anyone not looking forward to it, we said?
Yeah. Some diehard fans here who are missing Muse, but who knows what's going to happen next? But the movie is definitely still up for grabs, and I'm pretty keen on it. The movie went down very well at Scotland Loves Anime, and even I enjoyed it actually, which was a surprise. I'm not normally a big music idol shows are not normally my kind of thing, so I'm kind of going back to Love Live. Kat in the Office, however, is incredibly keen on the show. I have to say, it's pretty surprising. I guess for me, it's maybe Nico actually. I guess. I knew I was gonna piss off people.
Oh,
this is
great.
why I avoided it.
All right. Well, look, I'm gonna put it out there, Katori. Thank you. There is one passionate person with me on that.
Show off. Nope.
What have we descended as panel into?
That's a whole other panel, I think.
Oh, yes.
Check back Sunday for more of your Love Live character news. No, seriously, ask Keith. I really want to know what he would say.
Same.
Right, we have a question right towards the back for this gentleman.
Hey guys, what's up? You alright?
Hey.
Yeah,
doing good.
All right.
Yeah. Basically, it's back to the FMA original series announcements, like the Ultimate Edition, I mean. Basically, I've got a little question.
Sure.
Before you made the marketing announcement of the Ultimate Edition, were there any plans to make both the original series and the Brotherhood series all come to complete packaging?
I would. The trouble is, you see, I think I would, as much as I would love to say I would consider ever doing that, even if we had the rights to both, I would always want to do them separately because they're like, even though it's interesting, the manga, like the original manga artist regards them both as equally interesting. In fact, she encouraged the original director of the first series to do his own thing with the second half because she was still writing it and she wanted to see what he would come up with and to create a different experience to to what she was doing. She didn't want a Game of Thrones situation, basically, where the TV series, you're going to get more satisfaction out of a TV series than you will in the books for quite some time, I can guarantee you there. But she wanted to create an experience where you could enjoy both. And when Brotherhood came around later, when the manga was complete, it was kind of that perfect opportunity. And like every manga artist takes their own style. So Attack on Titan, for example, they're doing further series as and when there's enough material to make it from the comics as they go. So there's huge gaps of time where there's no new Attack on Titan, unless we count the live action films. I think we're going to veto that idea then. But like the idea is that with a series like Full Metal Alchemist and the length of the series, the cost for doing both together, even if it was possible, would be so high. I mean, this is high, but what we're creating is a one-of-a-kind release, like a one-off chance to do something that is completely different from the normal. It's not just, I mean, it's nice what we've done with Miss Hokusai, which is a wooden box style release, and we're doing the same as what we did in France with that. But this is something where you can't easily, it's not easily imitatable. Like it costs a ton to do, and to do it the way we are doing it is very detailed and requires a lot of approval work. And to do something with Brotherhood, I would almost, since even in Brotherhood, for example, the gate is different. I had to do some very intricate examination of this to find out. So the gate in Full Metal Alchemist, the original series, I can tell you, is modeled around Rodin's version of the gate, the sculpture itself, like depicting hell, like basically. So that's why all the people are attached to the sides and such, whereas the gate in the manga and the Brotherhood series is different. It's much more smooth and flat. Like there's less intricate artwork on the outside, but a much more detailed version of the eye and such on the center, which is because the gate plays a different role in both shows. So we'd had to come up with it would be very difficult to come up with a cool and unique packaging concept for both that wasn't copying something that had been done already. Which is a long way of saying no, but like it's better to explain it, I figure, and I figure you'd be interested by the detail.
Question here just towards front.
Hi, it's again about Full Metal Alchemist. Two questions really. The first is any chance of having the soundtracks in with the box set, and the other one is that series isn't really complete without the movie Conqueror of Shambhala. You got any plans for that one as well?
The movie we don't right now because it's still with the original licensor. It's kind of in a weird, I think it's in a weird transitionary state just now. So we're seeing what we can do about that just now. Soundtracks were a little bit more complicated again. They've never been released, at least in English-speaking territories, beyond importation, I believe. And there's a few reasons behind that, mostly regarding clearance of some of the tracks, I think. It's a very bizarre situation, actually. So we tried to do that first, but went down more of the road of clearing more artwork than has been done elsewhere, and went down the road of delivering a different style of art book to what's been done elsewhere, and the Alchemy certificate and the gate itself. On that, the cost for actually doing CDs is very difficult. And I'm playing with a crazy project just now for another show we've done before that actually looks at the idea of doing vinyl. Just as an idea. Okay, for some people who like vinyl. Actually, speaking of vinyl, I picked up a very cool release of Evangelion. Evangelion has a vinyl release just now in Japan. So if you have a vinyl, I picked up on my last wandering there.
In fairness, he was literally in Japan last week, people. Just to put this out there, so he's not even joking.
So I mean, it's something worth experiencing. So we do experiment where we can, and the cost though for doing a CD on its own, as part of a collector's edition, is actually very high normally. So the trouble was this time, it was not easy to clear and basically impossible to clear this time round. And if we had been able to, the cost versus the actual benefits on what we were doing for everything else would have meant we'd have to change the packaging. So in this case, it's not possible, sadly.
And the process that we talked about in terms of the licensing and also you talked about getting the agreements from the Japanese. You've given us a rough time to get to that, but overall, how long are you guys working on Ultimate Editions for?
Depends on the product to an extent. I mean, it can be anywhere between, it can be anywhere between half a year to be really quick, or a year to a year and a half to 2 years sometimes. Gurren Lagann's approval process was a particularly long one because the team behind it cares so much about what they do that the detail was very important to them. So that one was probably our longest ever approval project. But it depends on the project. Sometimes it takes only a couple of weeks. Sometimes it can take months for the approval part alone. The rest of it is kind of up to what issues come up in the process, you know?
Yeah, and a lot of people probably don't know exactly when you talk about processes and things, but it's not just a case of speaking to someone and then you get the rights. It can be a long process. How many kind of approvals do you actually have to go through sometimes just to get an anime out on DVD, for example?
If you include all the process of getting approval for getting the title to begin with, you can be talking anywhere between 3 to 6 times at least. There's a lot of processes and forms to fill.
And probably all in Japanese too, which makes it just more fun.
Takes a bit longer, definitely.
So we've got time for a couple more questions. So if you'd like to stick your hand up and ask them anything like the Formula Alchemist box set.
Or in general.
Or in general one about any releases that they can answer.
Or just anything, we're here.
Favourite magical girl costume that they wear, who knows?
We promised we wouldn't talk about that, Stu.
Just wondering anything about anything to do. I wish I could talk at the moment. Well, I mean, we can go on to something about series buys, a different series, same artist, but about Heroic Legend about Aslan.
Oh yeah, Aslan.
Is there anything about simulcasting or the second season when it comes, or like a home release for the first?
Well, for home release for the first, very, very little known about the person at Universal working on the project is also another person by the name of with the surname Partridge, which is quite interesting actually. So that means there's now 2 Partridges in the UK industry. I would normally make a Highlander joke at this point, but actually he's a really nice guy, so I don't want anyone getting the wrong idea. But now it's like the Partridge family, so I can move on to a new brand of Partridge joke. I can branch out.
Someone help me.
Sorry.
But when it comes to Arslan, it's actually Universal Pictures that are going to be releasing that over here, isn't it, on home video. We originally simulcasted the first season with Viewster. And it's actually going to be coming out on Blu-ray and DVD, I believe, from Universal. You'll have to check on their channels to be sure, because admittedly, I've kind of been knee-deep in getting ready for this event for the past few weeks, so I'm not entirely sure.
They've got a really cool... I've been paying attention, because they do really cool work. So they're in the same vein to what we do, actually, with product for this kind of thing. The guy in charge of it, really cares. It's a really impressive piece of work. And for Arslan... In the USA, I believe it's coming in a standard combi pack, for example, but in the UK, what you're getting is a replica of the board game from Japan, like a booklet, art cards. You're getting everything in the kitchen sink in the UK release. It's a really proud example of a big company using their assets and their knowledge of the title from their Japanese side to make a very cool edition. And I would really recommend you check it out because it's an amazing piece of work. Seraph of the End, for example, is also in a completely non-biased plug available for sale at the Anime Limited stand as well, which is their work.
In the North Hall by Fear of the Walking Dead and the Preacher Church.
Can't miss it. Look for the Preacher Church and you'll find us. It's a really impressive release and they poured a lot of care and attention into it. So it'll be coming out, I believe, sometime in summer. If you do a quick search on Amazon or Zavi, Season 1, Part 1 is definitely lined up now. As for the simulcast of Season 2, if we have more information about it in the future, we will give it to you as soon as. At the moment, we have nothing to report, though. But you never know in the near future.
Also, I do just want to say, we both love the show.
Yeah.
It's so cool. If you guys haven't seen it, do go out of your way to watch it. It's really, really
The
good.
game's really cool as well, actually, I have to say.
We have a question from down the front.
Hi, a couple of weeks ago, you tweeted that you would be picking up Fairy Tail.
We technically aren't. So to give you the backstory on this, we are distributing for Funimation as well now. So we are, like, it's really Funimation who'll be releasing it again now. So there's a lot of titles you'll see now labeled on Amazon as Funimation. So we're working with them, like, as friends and such to help facilitate that in the UK. But it'll be branded under and with the same style of packaging as them. From now on, when you see something that's a Funimation license, perhaps, sub-licensed by Anime Limited, and an Anime Limited tag to it, you'll know that we're going to be doing something slightly different at least. So things like Psycho Pass more than Rage of Bahamut or Assassination Classroom. Those two are kind of caught in the transitionary period. So things like Blood Blockade Battlefront, Free Eternal Summer, which is if you follow the openings and endings and take it with the tongue in cheek it's intended to be, you will love this release of it. Our designer has gone all out. Like that, for example, Lucky Star, for example, Psycho Pass the movie, Project Ito, all of those are in the like in the Anime Limited branded part, which is where we do our own thing. So it'll be different to the USA. I mean, for Blood Blockade, all of us in the team are huge fans of it. I honestly would love to see more. Soundtrack is amazing too, actually. It's a newcomer to the industry for soundtrack, worked on TV before. But if you remember soundtracks like Cowboy Bebop really favorably, I urge you to listen to the Blood Blockade Battlefront soundtrack. It's a piece of art. Honestly, the ending is what sold me on that show, to be honest. I have never seen an animation team have so much fun showing their cast have fun in a completely unrelated way to the anime. It's just them having, dancing and chilling out. But I strongly recommend Blood Blockade Battlefront as a side pitch. But that when it's branded Anime Limited, it'll be us doing our own things. So Fairy Tail's coming out under Funimation, and they are following the old Manga UK release format for that, so it'll be DVD only from now on. There we go. That's what I was waiting for. I was expecting some more pitchforks, but actually okay. It will be restarting shortly in the UK, we're glad to say. And I think they're very sorry for any delay that's been caused. I've got a note here saying, please say sorry, if it comes up. So, very sorry for the delay.
And we have a question in a minute.
Hi there. In a hypothetical story, are there any animes in the current season that you'd really like to get your hands on? Just throw it out there, anything you really, really want to?
I would say, without a doubt, I want Cabaneri and the Iron Fortress, and I will stab someone to get it if I have to. Ideally a Cabane, not an actual person. I've been blown away by it as a personal fan. It's on Amazon, if you didn't know, because they've been pretty quiet about it. If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it free of charge just now. We don't have anything on it, and much like when we talked about Death Parade before, this is a completely baseless, fanboy-based opinion on it, but it's absolute bubblegum entertainment. It's not going to win any Oscars or Emmys anytime soon, I suspect, but if you want to see, it's like Attack on Titan, but with more likable characters. I found, and the swordplay is incredible. For example, much like the same kinetics you get with the maneuver gear in Attack on Titan, the maneuvering and the sword fighting, for example. There's an amazing episode 4, where it's all action on a train, and there's some amazing sword fighting choreographed stuff I've not seen since Sword of a Stranger, from Bones, in terms of animation quality for sword fighting. It's well worth a watch. If I could get any show, if I could get just one show that season, definitely that one. If I could get another show, I would love. How many people have been watching? How many people here are fans of Studio Trigger? I'm a huge fan, and I've been watching their latest works, both Kisnaiva and Space Patrol Luluco.
Luluco is such good fun.
It's so fun. But they're both sitting on Crunchyroll just now. We've been enjoying those actually as well. If you've not checked them out yet, we'd strongly recommend it. The experience is very good. We're huge fans of those. So, out of curiosity, how many of you guys are enjoying Cabaneri just now as well? Okay. Kisniver? Yeah! Okay, there's more people watching Kisniver. There's a strong bond shared there, I can see. Excellent. How about Lilico? It's a bit like Kill la Kill mixed into one package, isn't it? It's like the crazy bits with Mako. It's like all condensed down. It's amazing.
If I have to give a couple of titles. First of all, I have to give my obligatory every MCM London mention of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah! That's not in any way
It's not, by the way. It's just me saying I wish.
He's such a fan, he bought the Warner release of Season 1.
Yeah, I did. Have you listened to that dub? It's amazing. And with PAL speed up, it's gorgeous. But otherwise, and going a little...
I thought you were being serious for a moment.
No comment. But the other thing I will throw out there isn't actually a series that's currently airing. It's actually a film I badly want to see, and that's the Girls and Panzer movie. Yes, I'm not alone. The Girls and Panzer movie. I really need to see this. Not trying to make a hint, boss man. Just saying.
Unfortunately, MVM have rights to the original series, and they obviously should have first priority on any licensing for such a film. I'm sorry. Even if there's a 4D experience, Jeremy, for it in Japan.
What would the 4D experience of Girls and Panzer be?
I thought it would just be someone going around with an air horn every time the tanks go off or such, you know?
Or is it the equivalent of D-Box in the cinema where your seat just rumbles to make you feel like you're in a tank?
That would be the easy option, actually, now you mention it.
Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That is all the time we have for this.
But we'll be back we're back tomorrow with the guests for Gundam from 12 till 1. And Michael Arias will be joining us from the director of Harmony and Tech on Concrete. Also worked on the software that Ghibli uses for animation and Futurama used as well, actually, which is an interesting secret about him.
That's from 2 to 3 p.m. downstairs in Platinum Lower.
And as if you've not had enough of us already, quite honestly, wouldn't blame you. We're back on Sunday with some more of the team, so you can meet a few more people involved. So our product managers, Kat and Keith. Mm-hmm. Jeremy, I might even be back as well if you've not had enough of me already. If you have, don't worry. You can come by the stand and say, please, just don't come.
Yeah, and also, speaking of our stand people, if you want to come along, like we said, in the North Hall, look for the massive Fear of the Walking Dead cross the tightrope thing, and then the big church for Preacher. You can't miss us. Just look for all the anime signs.
And as a last reminder for Full Metal Alchemist, the pre-orders should have gone live right now. And they're on fullmetal.alltheanime.com. Someone is bound to come up to the stand in a minute and go, no, it's not. So I'm going to run away now before that happens. Thank you very much, guys, as well. Honestly, I owe you a big thank you.
Thanks, okay. Give a big round of applause to Jeremy and Andrew.
Should be live.
Perfect. And as you see there are the details. You can go to the website, which is alltheanime.com, and then on Facebook.com/alltheanime and Twitter.com/alltheanime as well. And don't forget, there's only just under 1,000 box sets available. So get your pre-orders in now for Full Metal Alchemist. But that's all we have until later on this evening here in the Platinum Theatre. So if you'd like to, and you're not coming to our Yogscast panel, if you'd like to make your way out, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening here in London at the Excel Centre and around the surrounding areas. We will see you back here tomorrow morning for more great panels. We'll also have some panels in the Gold Theatre, Platinum Lower, and pretty much any other run. The Silver for the game stage, and that is, as far as I can remember, all of them. And the Bronze Theatre as well. So we've got loads more great panels in a very big weekend here at the Excel Centre. Until then, good evening and good night.